See Her Royal Highness Princess Catherine.
Named as, and it's true, the...
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel where the high-stakes dance between world leaders and royal elegance never fails to steal the spotlight. Today, buckle in because we're plunging headfirst into a moment so unexpected, so seismic that diplomats are adjusting their ties, palace insiders are clutching their pearls, and social media is exploding like fireworks on the 4th of July. Just days ago, President Donald Trump, fresh from a whirlwind state visit to the United Kingdom that set tongues wagging from Fleet Street to Foggy Bottom, strode into the United Nations General Assembly with his trademark bravado. The air inside the UN was electric, thick with that crackling tension you feel just before a thunderstorm breaks. His speech, delivered on September 23, 2025, was already being billed as a masterclass in bold declarations and unfiltered fire. But then, right in the middle of that geopolitical storm, Trump dropped a line so out of left field, so utterly jaw-dropping, that it rewrote headlines around the world overnight. He turned the world's most famous podium into a stage for royal reverence, hailing the Princess of Wales, Catherine, as nothing less than the most powerful woman on the planet. Yes, you heard that right. In a hall filled with heads of state, CEOs, and power brokers, the man who built his brand on America First handed the crown of influence to a future queen across the pond. It wasn't just flattery. It was a statement, a signal, a seismic twist in a year already packed with them. But to really understand why this moment hit like a lightning bolt, we need to rewind the tape. Because nothing about Trump and the royals happens in a vacuum. This wasn't a throwaway comment. It was the crescendo of weeks of pomp, whispers, and carefully staged encounters that began with tea and trumpets at Windsor Castle. So let's go back. The build-up to Trump's UK visit had the buzz of a Hollywood blockbuster. With his second term in full swing, the president had been crisscrossing the globe, mending fences here, flexing muscle there. But the trip to Britain, that one was personal. Trump has always worn his admiration for the British monarchy like a badge of honor. From his first term, when he gushed about Queen Elizabeth II as a tremendous woman who loved our country, to his public fascination with royal pageantry, he has never hidden his affection. Insiders say the trip was greenlit months in advance, slotted neatly after Labor Day to maximize pomp without clashing with domestic chaos. And oh, what a spectacle it turned out to be. On September 15th, Air Force One touched down at Stansted Airport. Cameras swarmed as Trump stepped onto the tarmac in a crisp navy suit, Melania by his side in a cream-sheathed dress that whispered understated elegance. Along the route to London, crowds lined the streets, some waving Union Jacks, some simply craning their necks for a glimpse of the motorcade. But the real stage wasn't Downing Street or even Buckingham Palace. It was Windsor Castle. Those ancient towers piercing the sky, that fortress steeped in centuries of power plays. And this time, it would host a collision of two worlds, the brash energy of American exceptionalism and the quiet grace of royal tradition. From the moment the Trump entourage entered Windsor, insiders say the air was different. King Charles III and Queen Camilla welcomed them with the formality of hosts who know every detail matters. A state banquet under glittering chandeliers set the tone, crystal glasses clinking, string quartets filling the air, portraits of monarchs long gone staring down from gilded frames. And then came William and Catherine, the next generation of the monarchy. Their smiles lit up the hall, their presence striking that delicate balance of modernity and tradition. Sources at the banquet recall one exchange that became instant tabloid gold. Trump, seated beside Catherine, leaned in during the fish course and in that unmistakable Queens-born bluntness, told her, "You are so beautiful, so beautiful." Catherine, ever unflappable, laughed softly, her reply polite yet warm. It was the kind of exchange that makes headlines, but no one realized then that it would echo all the way to the UN podium. Over the next 48 hours, interactions piled up like ornaments on a Christmas tree. Private tours of lesser-seen chambers of Windsor, where Trump compared tapestries to his own Mar-a-Lago collection. A garden stroll with Prince William, bonding over golf and fatherhood. And then more intimate conversations with Catherine, discussions about charity work, the grind of public life, and the endless glare of media scrutiny. An aide later said off the record, "It was instant chemistry. They just got it. The weight of the world on their shoulders." By the banquet's close, with toasts ringing and violins surrendering the night, Trump was already planting seeds. He toasted Catherine not only as radiant, but as healthy, a nod to her widely publicized recovery earlier this year. The applause was thunderous, but beneath it lay something deeper, the sense that this was no mere courtesy. It was a prelude. When Air Force One lifted off from Heathrow, bound for New York, the story had already shifted. The White House tried to frame the trip around trade talks and tech partnerships, but the real buzz was personal. Clips of Trump praising Catherine went viral. Hashtags like Trump meets Kate trended worldwide. Royal watchers dissected every frame of the banquet footage. The way Catherine's eyes crinkled with amusement, Trump's uncharacteristic deference, the lingering warmth of their exchanges. One viral post from a Windsor insider quipped, "The Donald met his match in the Duchess and he loved every second of it." Back in Washington, aides noticed the president was energized. He replayed banquet clips during the flight home, chuckling at his own off-the-cuff remarks. "She gets it," he reportedly told Melania. The glare, the grind, but look at her shine. By the time UN speech prep began, Catherine's name was surfacing in conversations more than once. Speechwriters whispered later that Trump kept circling back to her, not romantically, but admiringly. Like she's the gold standard for handling pressure, one aide explained. No one knew then that admiration would spill onto the biggest stage of all. New York, September 23rd. The UN headquarters on the East River hummed with anticipation. Barricades lined the streets, delegates in power suits swarmed the corridors. Trump arrived in his signature navy tie, shaking hands like a seasoned showman. Macron with a weary smile, Modi with an enthusiastic clap on the back, Schultz with a curt nod. He climbed the podium steps, notes in hand, eyes gleaming. The world leaned forward. The speech began with classic Trump bravado. America's resurgence, sovereignty first, barbs at multilateral entanglements. Delegates shifted in their seats, some nodding, others pursing lips. It was vintage Trump, unapologetic and unyielding. And then, around the 20-minute mark, came the pivot. His voice dropped softer now, almost confessional. "Folks, I just returned from a remarkable visit to the United Kingdom. Great people, tremendous history. And let me tell you, the royals, class acts, every one of them." The hall rippled with murmurs. Shoutouts to royals were not the UN norm, but Trump pressed on, praising King Charles, applauding Queen Camilla, tipping his hat to Prince William. And then he paused, scanning the hall like a performer milking suspense. But if I may, I have to say something about one person in particular. The Princess of Wales, Catherine. What a woman! Grace under fire, strength that doesn't quit. I sat next to her at dinner, looked her in the eye, and thought, this is power, real power. Not the kind you shout about, but the kind that shapes destinies quietly, effectively. Ladies and gentlemen, in my book, she is the most powerful woman in the world right now. Gasps. Pens dropped, the British delegation froze, the hall seemed to hold its breath. In one moment, Trump had upended diplomatic protocol, crowning Catherine not just as a princess or future queen, but as the pinnacle of global influence. The reaction was instant and explosive. CNN cut live coverage mid-commercial. Did he just crown Kate Middleton Queen of the Globe? Fox News framed it as gospel. Real leaders recognize real leaders. Social media ignited. In London, the palace awoke to chaos. Phones rang off the hook. By noon, Kensington Palace issued a short statement thanking the president for his kind words. But Catherine's subtle smile at a school event later that day said more than any press release ever could. Celebrities chimed in. Oprah tweeted about quiet strength. Reese Witherspoon called it a mic drop moment for women everywhere. Elon Musk joked, finally, someone gets it. Quiet beats noise. But not everyone was charmed. Late-night comedians had a field day. One monologue quipped, Trump at the UN, tariffs, treaties, and tiaras. Feminist circles debated whether praising Catherine as powerful was uplifting or patronizing. Yet the debate only amplified the moment. Trump's words had turned a routine policy speech into a global cultural flashpoint. Why Catherine? Why now? For Trump, admiration of the royals is nothing new, but this time something had crystallized. Watching Catherine in Windsor, her poise after illness, her unshakable calm amid scrutiny, Trump saw in her what he values most: resilience. Power, in his eyes, isn't just tanks or treaties. It's the ability to endure, to command without shouting, to inspire without demanding. Catherine embodies that. Her charity work, her recovery, her balance of crown and family, she has become the monarchy's steadying hand in turbulent times. By elevating her at the UN, Trump wasn't just flattering, he was signaling. To Britain, a gesture of